Hi, everybody. I'm Russ Kane, but you probably know that by now. This is the Midday Show. It's Friday the something or other. What is it? 24th of January. January nearly gone. Welcome. Now, before, we got a packed show full of showbiz, but there's a few things I'd like to say. And before I bring on our fantastic, fearless Jonathan First Night, I'll get a gin and tonic at the bar before you, Baz, and his very special guest. There's a couple of things I want to say. Got nothing to do with showbiz. I'm leaving Jonathan out of this because he will not be able to be part of what I am saying. But sometimes life gets so serious and so disgusting and so repulsive and so unjust that you just have to say some stuff. What's the point of having your own radio station if you can't do that? I can't leave it till Monday. I've got to get it off my chest today. The trial that took place where that absolute scum monster got 52 years is a stain on the history of this country. A stain. If ever there was a face that was the very definition of evil, it's that disgusting face. And it proves, which is little tiny stations like us all over the world are the future. It proves why the mainstream media is dead and won't accept it, because they were the ones who pushed the narrative. This was a shy, quiet little choir boy. They are the ones who put the disgraceful photos of this little boy, not the monster that he was. At the very least, and I'm not going to jump on any bandwagon, but at the very least, I will say this. People are saying 52 years. Oh, he won't get out. Well, if he doesn't get shivved, obviously. Prison justice, they don't like child murderers. But I'll say this. He should have at least had 3 consecutive, not concurrent, consecutive life sentences for the murders of each of those innocent little kids, just there minding their own business and dancing to Taylor Swift. He should have then had added to that, without doubt, attempted murder. He should never, ever be coming out. That's one side of it. That was the final nail in the coffin, if I can mix my metaphors, for Starmer and everybody else who was complicit in covering this up. The truth eventually will come out, and it will come out sooner than later. This is not recoverable. But most important, our love and our thoughts go to the parents and all the citizens of that little town who did not need this horror, which could have been avoided, which was known about, and how complicit are the parents. I'll leave it there. I'm going to say no more. I'm going to hand you over and lighten the mood. I had to get that off my chest. I'm sorry. It's just burning me up, and I'm sure it's burning you up too. Let's choose nice things, because I think there's nothing more wonderful than theatre and the arts. We need it. We love them. They provide us with the relief from the relentless grimness of life. Ladies and gentlemen, theatre critic, the man who knows his way around a gin and tonic more than anybody else I know, Mr. Jonathan Baz.
Russ, good afternoon. I want
Hello,
to pick
boy.
up on one thing that you just said in your closing few words. You said, how complicit are the parents? I think you were meaning to specify how complicit are the parents of the guilty young man.
Oh, God, of course. Not the complicit, not
correct.
The parents of the little children.
Correct. Anyway,
everybody has a right to send your children to dance classes, for God's sake. You're our theatre critic. What could be more lovely?
Indeed. Now, on to things far more light, more light and frothy. And indeed, everything that I have to talk about today is light, frothy, and entertaining.
But enough about me, Jonathan.
You old charmer.
Move on, boy.
Sorry, Cockney rhyming slang for the Prime Minister there, you old charmer. Anyway.
Sorry.
So, you may recall, just before Christmas, I ventured off to Hammersmith, to the Riverside Studios, to see a rather glorious show, a jukebox musical strung around the songs of Dolly Parton. The show is called Here You Come Again. It is no longer at the Riverside Studios, Hammersmith, currently touring the United Kingdom for a number of weeks. And the driving force within this show, which is really a lovely, if it's coming to a town near you, go and see it, is a very, very talented actress called Trisha Paoluccio, who
if only
plays,
we could get her on the show.
Indeed, who plays Dolly Parton. And I'm delighted, Russ, if you can flick the appropriate
You are
switch
kidding me. Don't tell me she's on the show.
Bring Trisha into this
Wowzers,
conversation.
ballad and cowser.
Hi, guys.
Hello.
Trisha, and here you come again. No, Russ, please leave the singing to Trisha, okay, if you don't mind.
She could learn. It's never too late in life
will
to
do
learn.
duet, Russ. You never know. Maybe there's time.
Thank you, Trisha. You're wonderful and a fantastic liar, and I love you deeply.
So, Trisha, it is a delight to have you on the show. Here you come again is really, it's 2.5 hours of a show that you come out of it just with your cheeks aching, not from laughter, but from grinning with the warmth and the happiness that the show brings about. I mean, I summed up a few weeks ago on the show. It's a really imaginative tale about a gay man who's been dumped by his boyfriend back into his parents' home at the time of lockdown and the pandemic, where he was a fan and has always remained a fan of Dolly Parton. And this chap is now 40. He's back in his teenage bedroom, and in the midst of the doldrums of his depression, wham, out of a poster on his wall comes Dolly Parton singing "Here You Come Again." I mean, Trisha's laughing.
So it's a documentary then?
Absolutely.
Based on real life.
And
I love that.
So, Trisha, where did that rather brilliant story come from? Because you, as well as being the star of the show, are one of the writers, I believe.
I am. I've always loved Dolly Parton ever since I was a little girl. When I first heard the song "Here You Come Again" on the radio, something in me clicked, and I just said, I have to learn this song. And I memorized it, and I didn't know any better that you weren't supposed to copy. So I copied all her little crackle and scratch and the way she would sing each riff. And so since I was a little girl, I warped my vocal cords, I think, to be able to sing like her. And I always did it just for fun, and I loved doing it. I moved to New York to become a professional actor, and it was something that I always thought, I wish I could do something with this ability, because it's unique. I'm not somebody who's an impersonator or a mimic by any means, but I always could click into her. And so during the pandemic, my husband, Gabriel Barry, a wonderful director, he and I were quarantining in my parents' little log cabin in the foothills of California, away from civilization. Everything had stopped. The theater world had stopped. The world had stopped. And we got an email from a theater that Gabe had worked at a decade before saying, hey, we got a PPP grant. You can write a 2-person show and we can give you a little bit of money. Would you do it? And we said, let's do it. So Gabe said, let's do this show that you've always had in your heart. And I always had this vision that the best way to do a Dolly Parton musical would be to see Dolly in action. I knew she was working on her bio musical, the story of her life. So that wasn't the story I wanted to tell. I thought, all I want to do is be Dolly and show the audience what I imagined Dolly would be like in a real life way. So because we were really in the middle of quarantine and we were all isolated, we thought, what a perfect metaphor for when we are in that kind of valley time of life. We were all forced to let go of ideas of who we are, our plans, let go of our plans, let go of our relationships, our homes. So many people had to shift and pivot during the pandemic. We thought it was the perfect setting to put this character in and circumstance to put him in. It's not about COVID at all, but it uses that circumstance and that's why I think it's a relatable story, because we all remember that. And so so that's what we did. So we wrote this show, and and it turned out to be exactly how I hoped. I hope that the audience feels like they got to be with Dolly for 2.5 hours, and to hear all of her best songs in a funny context, but also it's a show that I think the reason why Dolly approved it is because it really aligns with her life motive, which is to make people happy and to help people. And that's what she does in her life, and that's what we try to do in our show. And I think we do that.
I think you do. I mean, I've never yet had the privilege of meeting the great Dolly Parton, but if I were to imagine what her spirit or her personality is in the way the way that comes across from her public persona, you absolutely capture that.
Oh, thank you.
In the way you portray it, not just vocally and visually. It's not just that, but it's that whole demeanor. You really ooze with Dolly in your performance. And it's
he has such a way with words.
Ooze with Dolly. Hey, I'll take
you
it.
are oozing with Dolly.
Yeah, believe me, it's Russ. You need to see this show. And interestingly, I've just pulled up on the screen what the tour dates are, because of course you're in Glasgow right now. Is that correct?
I'm in Glasgow, and let me just show you. It is wind and rain.
Yeah, that's Glasgow.
That's Glasgow for you. Yep.
It's harrowing. So yeah, we're here
next week. Just so people have an idea of where your show is. Next week you're in York. The following week Manchester. The following week Sunderland. And then the 18th of February, you're back down in Greater London at the New Wimbledon Theatre.
Yes.
Oh, I've been at I've done panto at the New Wimbledon. It's a beautiful theatre.
Oh,
have you seen it, Tricia?
No, but
I'm excited. Yes. Yeah, the New Wimbledon Theatre is absolutely gorgeous. It's one of
great.
I know it's not really London, but we call it London, and it's a gorgeous theatre. You will love it.
Oh, I can't wait.
Yes, really.
A quick question for you, Tricia. One of the writing team who came on board for the show is Jonathan Harvey, and sort of how much of the story that is in Here You Come Again is from you. Just tell me a little bit about what Jonathan, who is one of our more talented stage writers over on this side of the pond.
Oh, he's a lovely man.
What did he bring?
We adore him. So when we wrote the show and we did the tour of this show in America, it was set in Longview, Texas. So when our producer, Simon Friend, flew over to see it, obviously he wanted to set it in England. So Jonathan was brought in to basically change any reference that was American to a British reference. So anything that is specific to you all in terms of the names of things, the way you call things, the names of a brand of something that you would use, right? We would use Lysol, you use something else, a drug name. So those kind of factual things he changed, but also he just helped us understand, every culture has its own sense of humor, and we've been able to lean into, and I'm not sure what night you saw, but I went to my first panto, by the way, mind blowing for an American. We don't have that.
Americans look at it and go, oh my God.
What is going on here?
What panto did you go and see?
What's the biggest one? The one that's really has a lot of money.
They all make a fortune.
The one at the London Palladium?
Yes.
With Marisha Wallace?
Yes, I guess so.
Yep. Robin Hood.
Yes, Robin Hood.
Yes.
And yes, Miss Robin.
Please excuse Russ.
No, but what I learned from that is we naturally, because see, Dolly is a very personable person who always talks to the audience anyway. So I did that in the US. So a lot of my jokes they're said to the audience, and I tell them, I talk to them, which invites them to respond back. And I realize now how natural our show is for a British audience, because boy, are they vocal, and here in Glasgow yesterday, they're chiming in, ideas, and so much so we have to say, let's see how it pans out, because they, they'll stop the show with their ideas of how it should go.
Just thank God you're not Mike and Bernie Winters. I can't tell that story in public, but it's just, trust me, Glasgow, Mike and Bernie Winters.
Glasgow is fun. Story. But so he helped us hone in on the British humor, and also listen, every time we do the show, we make it better. We up the stakes. We realize we can refine this moment. We can make this more truthful. So not only did he help us Britify, I don't know how to what a word the word Britishfy. I don't know how to say it,
That'll do.
but make it for a British audience. He also helped us as we refined our story. But essentially, what you saw is what we wrote.
Do you know,
Great.
Trisha, I need to tell you how important that is. And I'll give you an example. And I'm so thrilled that everyone involved had the smarts to say, no, let's make it. If you're going to do it in the UK, get that UK sense of humor.
Yes.
I always have a thing in my life that I have a bucket list of people that I wanted to see, no matter how late in their career. And I took myself off to see Bob Hope at the London Palladium. Bob Hope, because I thought, gee, I'm never going to get this chance again.
Yes.
So I was very young and I went off and he told a gag. I mean, his timing was like a scalpel. It was incredible. And he was about 500 years old at the point. And he told a gag using an American product name. And it was at the London Palladium, as I said. There was absolute silence because we didn't have a clue. And then he turned around, he said, oh, wait a minute, I'm going to do that gag again. Because he had that. He was Bob Hope, for God's sake. He was comedic god. And he told the same gag using the British brand of the joke that it, and the place fell apart.
Yeah.
And so it's tiny touches. So bravo to you. That's what I say.
Yes, we plan to go to Australia, and we are doing the same thing. In fact, I have my first writing meeting tonight with Australian writers to do the same thing. What I love about Dolly Parton and our story, our convention, is that this show could be done in any country with any character. Kevin could be a 50-year-old housewife. Kevin could be a 20-year-old gamer who is afraid to leave his to meet people and go outside his apartment because he's addicted to video games. It could be any person struggling with something that needs help. And we, the person who owns Riverside is Indian, and he and his board of directors were there, and they said, come to India with your show. And I said, could we do this show in India? They're like, you wouldn't have to change a thing. But it's that people feel like, because Dolly is so well loved, and really Dolly represents, I hope you caught this, Jonathan, she represents Kevin's highest consciousness. She's not a god. She's not an angel. She just represents that little part of our mind that says, oh, it's going to be okay. That part of us that's like, you got this. The good part of our mind that calms us down in times of panic. So she represents that. So I think there's Dolly, this has a universal appeal in terms of, we all want that, right? We all want to be in touch with that sense of hope that it's all going to be okay.
The show is the most glorious celebration of the strengths of humanity.
Yeah.
And Dolly really, brings this guy or his imagination ultimately of Dolly, brings him out of the depths of his gloom and his misery. He's got his parents have banished him to isolate in the pandemic up in the attic. God. He's got a grim life all around him. His job is hanging by a thread. Boyfriend's dumped him. And the one bit of salvation that gets him through the dark times, and there's a wonderfully cheesy at the end of the show. I won't spoil it. It is corny, but it's lovely. And it's a happy ending. And all the way along this journey, this guy's internal energy has been boosted by what the Dolly Parton aura has given to him. And Trisha personifies that aura unbelievably. I mean, you heard Russ glimpses or snatches of
that was
Dolly's
enough for me. That sold me, I got to tell you.
Coming through. Listen, when it comes to Wimbledon, Russ, go and see it. It is an evening really of the purest entertainment. It entertains.
Now, Trisha, what you may not know about our fearless theatre critic Jonathan Baz is that when he doesn't like something, boy oh boy, do you know it. He never ever holds back. You think I'm bad, Jonathan, when it comes to just speaking his mind about any theatrical production, boom, he puts it all on the line. Doesn't always agree with what's in the mainstream media. Good, because it's dead and dying and deserves to be. And so for him to lavish this, I'm sitting here thinking, is this the Jonathan that I know and love?
We softened his heart. We softened his heart.
You did.
I have a question for you, Tricia. I have a serious question.
Yes,
and it's this. I agree with everything that you said. And if Jonathan says it's good, it's good. What is it, if you could pinpoint, about Dolly Parton that has this universal appeal across all age groups? Because if you compare her to, say, the biggest star in the world at the moment, probably Taylor Swift. I can tell you one Taylor Swift song. I couldn't tell you anything about her, and I find her absolutely corporate stone dead. I don't get anything from her at all. I see Dolly, and for whatever reason, what is it you think brings her to life to so many?
First of all, she has an immense talent. I think her talent as a songwriter, her writing is, even if she wasn't a performer, I think she's contributed a huge amount to the arts. And remember, when she was writing all of these hits in the 70s and 80s, it's before the internet, when we all would buy that record, and we'd all be listening to the same thing. It's so different. I think it's harder for a young star now to have the impact that Dolly did, but she's written these beautiful songs that we just all know and love. And that's what our show celebrates. So you get to hear all those great songs. But I think the reason why she's so loved is because she's genuine and truly has a good heart. And her motive to be famous, even though it's fun for her, she wants to have she wants all that money to be able to dress up the way she does and have all that. Her real motive is to make people happy and to bring joy. It isn't to be the most famous person in the world. She's done it through love. She loves people. She loves her audiences, and she uses her talent. I feel like Dolly is so in line with her God-given reason for being. She knows God gave her a gift, and she's using that gift. And so she's really in line with spirit. And we feel it.
Cancel the show.
I mean,
show can't go on tonight. That's it. She's got a cough. Jonathan, you've got to replace her.
What I love about so many of Dolly's songs is they actually take some quite challenging storylines. Here You Come Again is a song about a guy who continually walks out on his woman.
Yeah.
But the moment he walks through the door, she absolutely melts and is wrapped around his little finger. I think, if I'm getting that lyric not too wrong.
What about Jolene? Think
Jolene.
about the poignancy of that song,
brilliant.
Jolene. I mean, there she is. She's going to lose, presumably, her husband or the man she loves to this femme fatale. And it's an extraordinary, if you think about it, it's a brave song on many, many levels.
It's profound. Her grace is profound. Dolly never, ever makes a mistake. Every time she's hit with an interview, asks her a pointed question, she always finds a way of handling it graciously, with humor, that lets the other person off the hook. She never makes that person feel bad, even when they mean it wrong. It's like she doesn't. Have you ever heard that saying, don't barb the arrow when taking effect?
No. What does that mean?
She never barbs. So when someone hurtles a criticism at you or a mean thing at you, it's an arrow.
Okay.
But you barb it. So if you decide whether or not it hurts. So she never barbs the arrow.
Okay.
She lets those things just kind of go right through her. And then she ends up being like, it's a lesson in grace. And I cannot tell you how much, I'm sorry, I'm going to start to cry, but this show has helped me so much. It's helped me be a better person, because sometimes I just think, how would Dolly handle this situation? She wouldn't stay mad at this person, or she would let it go, and she would be the gracious person here. She's helped me be a nicer person. And I mean, really, you can't play a part like this without it affecting you, I'm not nearly as nice or any of those things as Dolly.
Oh, thank God. Thank God for that.
Neither is Russ. To be fair, neither is Russ.
No, I'll tell you something.
I'll tell you
something, Trish. I'll tell you something that, for me, and I know a lot of people are going to get very cross, but what the hell, is that if you take a song like "I Will Always Love You," which most people forget was written by Dolly Parton for Porter Wagner, because they were breaking up their partnership, not romantic partnership, their performing partnership, and that's what it was about. And less is more. She sings it with such grace and simplicity. And then along comes Whitney Houston, who I was never a fan of, and just like, well, let's just make every note 20 notes and let's just scream every chorus. And you say, everyone goes, isn't that marvelous? And I go, have you ever heard the original? Because that's
I sing it like the original, don't I, Jonathan? We sing it simply.
It's Dolly's way, you know. It's not the Whitney way of that song, of course not. Dolly wrote it. You give it, and to be fair, there'll be a lot of people in that audience who won't have heard that song other than the Whitney version. And you make it beautiful. There's Love Is Like a Butterfly, which I always associate with Wendy Craig and Jeffrey Palmer.
Craig, come on.
Yes. This, of course, was the theme tune, as you probably know, Tricia.
And a young Nicholas Lyndhurst.
A UK sitcom 40 years ago, Russ, was Butterflies.
Oh, at least.
Must be, at least.
Tricia, this was a hugely popular sitcom featuring, back then, one of our most popular, we still adore her because she's still alive, but popular actresses called Wendy Craig. And it was just a lovely, lovely Jeffrey
And that was the
Palmer.
theme song of the show, huh? I didn't know.
That was the theme tune. And you didn't know this. Well, what a delight to be able to share that little gem with you, because that, in the way that, you know, Jonathan Harvey has brought that little Britishness that you needed to make your story soar in the United Kingdom, that sitcom 40 years ago was all about the quintessential English, you know, middle class average family, but with the nuances and the issues that particularly the mum in the family.
What's the name of the show? What is the name of it?
Butterflies.
Oh, it's called Butterflies. Okay.
Yeah,
Butterflies, written by Carla Lane, I think, as I recall, Russ.
The great Carla Lane. And as I said, featuring a very young Nicholas Lyndhurst.
So
Rodney.
Well, I don't think you'll find it on Netflix, but it's worth. I'm sure it's going to be
or something. I'll try to
out
find
there
it
somewhere. But you know, Tricia, you know, I asked you to come on the show for 10 or 15 minutes. We've spoken for nearly half an hour, and we could speak for longer. This has been the most gorgeous interview.
Oh, thanks. Well, I love talking about Dolly. I love talking about our show. And can I just say something before? Are you kicking me out?
No, not yet. You're far away.
I just want to say that this has been the privilege and honor of my lifetime as an American actor to get to come to the UK and perform and experience your country and the different cities and the different accents at each city and the different, I mean, I can't believe your rich culture here. And these audiences.
And we're only a tiny island, aren't we? We're only a little tiny island.
It's amazing to me. And the passionate audiences, I mean, I will say it feels different up north. London was different than where we are like now in Glasgow. I mean, the
London is like New York. It's like,
it's
okay, I've paid my money, now come and impress me.
Yes.
And you get north of London, and everyone's charming.
We had a few, we warmed up in London, but towards the end it was great, but we found our audience. But I'm just saying that this has been such an honor and I will never forget it. And I'm so grateful for this opportunity. And I just,
Tricia, you've given us lots of love and enjoyment, obviously tens of thousands of people. Can I give you some advice while you're in Glasgow?
Yes.
Number one, if somebody says, I'm going to give you a Glasgow kiss, run.
Okay.
Run.
No one's offered me that.
You don't need to know anymore. Somebody says, I'm going to give you a Glasgow kiss. You run like hell. All right?
Okay.
Trust me, you'll thank me later. Number two, you must try a square sausage.
Well, guess what I had this morning for my first time? Haggis.
I don't know what. What did you have?
Haggis.
Oh, I love haggis. I love haggis.
And I was very skeptical.
No.
And my Scottish chef said, are you going to be here tomorrow in my hotel? I said, yes. He's like, you're going to ask for a pile of it tomorrow. Guess what? I loved it.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
It's delicious. Very
delicious.
flavorful. Yes, I loved it.
It's good. And number 3, there is a little place if you pop out. If I get this right, something like the name of Trisha, the University Cafe. It's a little cafe.
Ooh.
I promise it's just great. It's in the middle of Glasgow called the
Well, I'm not
University.
going to go out today because there's a windstorm happening, but maybe tomorrow.
Okay,
before my
called the
matinee.
University Cafe. You'll enjoy it,
Okay.
I promise you.
Thank you so much.
No, thank you.
Trisha,
It's been a
thank
pleasure.
you.
Yes, thank you so much.
We
A
will
pleasure.
always love you.
Oh, I will
Oh!
always love you. I love you too. Thank you.
That is
so much.
uncanny. I'm sorry. I know this is very uncool. That is uncanny. Jesus, that's good.
Here you
Right.
go.
We're going to
And-
get our next. We're going to get our next guest to do that.
You gotta
She will
go.
be
They're gonna.
doing-
Yeah, they're like.
no.
"Get her out."
Wait a minute. Before you go,
Yes.
because she's so lovely, Chantal, meet our fabulous guest Trisha from the United States.
Hello,
This is
Trisha from
Chantal
the United
Rickards.
Hi,
States.
Chantal. Sorry to keep you waiting.
No, not
Oh.
at all. I've been fascinated by what you've been saying. It's so interesting.
Oh,
really is.
thanks.
And
Well, thanks for
can I
having
just
me.
ask a serious question before Chantal comes on? And it's this. Oh, by the way, Karen Shortwood says Trisha has a beautiful voice singing and speaking. You do, indeed.
Oh,
Look at that. You really do. Be honest. Be honest. You've come to the UK and you're traveling everywhere. Have you found it friendly? Has it been warm? And please be honest. Don't have to say, yes, it's been great if it's been horrible.
I cannot tell you the difference in the warmth of the audiences. I'm blown away by your heart here. The investment in the character of Kevin's story, when he's down on himself, collectively the entire audience goes, oh no. Like, you're so loving and sensitive here, far more than Americans. I feel sad for American actors that we have to. I'm sorry, but the audiences in America are not like you guys. You guys are warm, lovely. I love being called love. I love being called. I love the way that, I go to a grocery store and they're like, "Hey, you go, love." I'm like, "Why do you call me love?" I'm so charmed by it all. I love it here. I wish we could stay.
Wonderful.
You're very
Henry
welcome.
Wink. I once ran into. We were talking about Panto before we go, Shutters. Right. Henry Winkler was appearing with a good friend of mine called Bobby Davro. You won't know who he is. And Henry had come over and he'd never done UK theatre, and he was really, really worried. And I ran into them in the corridor, and Bobby says, "Henry," I said, "Oh, Mr. Winkler, I'm thrilled. It's Henry Winkler, for God's sake, right?
Adore him,
The Fonz. It doesn't get any better.
Yeah.
Call me Henry." So immediately I'm like thrilled. I'm like, my life is made up. I can die tomorrow. I'll be happy. And he was so at the beginning, like you were saying, he was so worried. It's theatre. And my mate Bobby Davro was saying, "I promise, get out there and they will love you." And within like 2 days, he went, "I can't believe it. It's so different in the United Kingdom. This is fun." And he went, "Of course, just enjoy it."
Yeah, you guys are great people.
Well, you're very sweet. Have a wonderful run.
Thank
I hope
you.
you have packed houses wherever you go. Trisha,
Oh,
thank
I hope so
you so
too.
much.
I shall come.
Please come
definitely.
to Wimbledon. I want to meet you.
Oh, well, we'll come. I think Chantas and I will go. We'll go to
We'll
Wimbledon.
come to Wimbledon.
Let's go to
Okay,
Wimbledon.
good. All right.
All right.
Thanks for
Bye-bye.
having me. I appreciate
Break
it.
a leg.
Pleasure. Anytime.
Break a leg.
Bye.
Bye.
And with that, Jonathan, we say goodbye to you as well. Bless you for that. Bless you for bringing on your wonderful guest. She was absolutely adorable. Adorable.
Fantastic.
What a great I know you always dash off now. So, Jonathan, we'll see you in 2 weeks.
Indeed.
Thank you so much. I loved every second of that. What a breath of fresh air.
Indeed.
You really
what
was.
a lovely woman. Okay.
Lovely woman. Bye. Bye-bye.
Cheerio.
Bye.
Bye.
Now,
Have you ever
no,
been to
no, I'm
Dollywood?
doing it this way because everyone wants to see you and no one wants to see me. So, what a great guest.
Gorgeous.
What a
Have
great
you been
guest.
to Dollywood?
Have I been to Dollywood? No, I've been to Cricklewood.
Not quite the
As good as
same.
it gets.
I have to say, all the friends of mine who have been to Dollywood absolutely have enjoyed every single minute of it.
Oh, good.
It's-
Good.
I think Graceland and Dollywood are places I would actually really like to visit in
As
America.
much as I hate it, sounds so cheesy. I'd love to go to Graceland. Isn't that shocking? I'd love to go to Graceland. And can I just catch up on some of the comments, please, if you don't mind? If I
Of
can say-
course.
I've been to Dollywood. It's fab. A grandpa, with my busy Friday morning schedule, you can see why I'm sometimes late. Yes, I can. You're not going to believe this. I actually ran into Grandpack this morning. Small
No.
or what? Yes, I was
Bizarre.
having a cup of coffee, and a chap came over and said, "Hello, Russ." Wow. Trisha, we've dealt with. Oh, hello. This is coming in, I think, from Australia. If I'm right. Hello, Chantal. Again, great to see you. Talk soon. Right. Okay. And you can see why I've never been auditioned for Neighbours. Graceland is smaller than you think. And then we've got Dr. Asa Don Brown. Hi, Asa. Dollywood is an awesome theme park. How lovely is that? And I think and Asa also says, what a lovely interview. There we are. And also, Asa says, which was a point I made, I had an opportunity to see Bob Hope at the 1989 US Olympic Festival. God, that's
I'm
nice.
very jealous of that. Very jealous.
I have a thing that I always want to see on my bucket list.
Yeah.
So I saw like Jimmy Stewart on stage. Yeah. He's 300 years old. I didn't care. I used to take myself as a kid to go and see these things. Bob Dylan. He was terrible, absolutely terrible. At least I can say I saw Bob Dylan live. It was the most boring evening. It was appalling. But, I saw Bob Dylan. So there was people that I took myself off to go at Frank Sinatra. Managed to get to see him. So it was exciting. Anyway, there we go.
Very exciting. Well, Harvey the film, which some people will remember, black and white film from the 1950s with Jimmy Stewart.
Yeah.
Who has a 6-foot friend, a 6-foot rabbit, a white rabbit who's a friend, and that is absolutely one of my famous films, favorite films ever.
Adorable film.
It's just gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous.
Graham, stop it. Bonjour, Chantal.
Oh, well,
I hope he's okay. Francois has been having various medical procedures, which she goes into some detail on Facebook. So we hope you're well, Francois. That's all that matters.
Fingers crossed.
Right. What's come across your viewing purview?
Well, it's suddenly there seems to be a massive amount of stuff out there this week that, I think people were sort of holding back over Christmas and sort of watching the backlog of stuff that they'd piled up on, wherever, Netflix and goodness knows what. Yeah. And there's a lot of new stuff out there, which actually is great because it gives me loads of things to have a look at and to find and just sort of pass on for anybody who, just wants to kick back and kick their heels off and sit down and actually just not do an awful lot for a couple of hours, which I think everybody should find time to do absolutely nothing other than watch something great on the box.
Precisely.
So, exactly. And in fact, I've been stacking everything on my iPad today because I'm traveling up to Shrewsbury this afternoon. Already I've had about 6 warnings from trainline.com.
Is this a wise thing to do as we go into hurricane season here in Texas?
Yeah, possibly not very wise. So that's why I've got about 10 hours worth of viewing on my iPad.
God,
and a plug. So as long as the electricity is working on the train, I don't mind if I'm in a siding somewhere, as long as I've got something to watch on my iPad.
God, I do. Ooh. With my medical issues.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, hopefully I'll get there, and then hopefully I'll be back in, record
sometime
time.
This year.
I doubt it somewhat. No, British Rail. Every time I get on British Rail at the weekend, it's always a complete disaster.
That's why I drive.
Right. Yes. That aside, I found something really light, frothy, cheerful, funny, very well written that actually comes out today on Netflix. Is it Netflix? No, it's not. It's Disney Plus. Apologies for that.
Disney Plus. Okay.
And it's had a load of sort of pre-promotion. And I kept thinking, is this going to be as good as all the hype? Because often, things are just hyped for no good reason. And I just want to get really cross with the PR people, because you think, no, don't hype something that actually hasn't got any real, basis in truth. It makes me angry.
Like a new cookery show by somebody.
Possibly.
She's never going to see the light of day again.
Well, this TV series is called High Potential and has enormous potential.
Ooh. okay.
No, it's really good. It's there's an actress in it who I don't know terribly well called Caitlin Olsen, but I last saw her in Hacks, which I think was a TV
Oh,
show
Hacks!
that you and I
Love,
both
yes,
watched.
loved Hacks.
And she was very good in
Was
that.
she
and
the script? Was she the young script writer?
she was the daughter.
She was the lunatic,
The lunatic
deep-
daughter.
daughter. Yes,
Yeah. But
yes.
played a very good character. Anyway, she was in Hacks. That's what I last saw her in.
I loved that.
And she's now in, it is a police procedural. There is a dead body at the beginning and they have to work out why and where it's come from. But her shtick is that she is a modern day single mom, but with a new baby and a cranky teenager with an IQ of 160 and can see things that other people simply don't see. But the script
Is it based on you?
No, it definitely isn't.
As soon as
The
you got to
script
IQ of 160, I thought that's Chantal.
No, sadly, nobody writes my scripts or any of my
Oh.
one-liners, but
Okay.
she has got some fabulous lines to deliver. She's wisecracking, is what the Americans would say. She's very funny. She's very sharp. She's got an acid tongue, and she is this sort of not clairvoyant character, but because she knows so much, she's got this great intelligence. She just cuts people down to size instantly. And the
Like Sherlock-
scriptwriters have done
Sherlock
a really
Holmes.
good job. Really good job.
Little bit like Sherlock Holmes. If you
Well,
no,
no,
Sherlock
I-
Holmes, in as much as he's very short with people,
but this
there's no fat on it. It's like boom,
No.
boom, boom.
very true. You're right. I mean, but this is funny too, and it is written in a way that you still don't forget it's a police procedural, but there are some cracking one-liners in it, and her put-downs are just masterful. And she's a very high-energy character, so you get taken along with this sort of froth and bubble, and
Yeah.
she's incredibly cheerful all the time. But of course, she's
Oh, I hate her.
married up with a police detective who thinks that this is all a nightmare. Why has he got to be with this crazy woman? And the whole of the basis of it is she is the cleaning lady at the Los Angeles Police Department. And overnight, one night, she knocks off some papers onto the floor. She picks all the papers up and she solves the crime. And so she goes up to the crime board and writes on the crime board, "You've got the wrong person, it's this person." And that's where it starts.
That's a great conceit. That's a
It's
lovely
very
conceit, isn't it? That's really sweet.
It's very good conceit. She does have her own story, which is going to unfold, and it starts to unfold in the last 5 minutes of episode 1. That is going to become a sort of running theme throughout, which adds a little bit of extra to it. But I've only seen one episode. I think it's a 12-part series that starts today on Disney Plus. And if you've got Disney Plus, you'll really enjoy this. And if you haven't got Disney Plus, go and get it. It's just a treat. I just thought, oh God, I just want to see the second episode immediately, because I just felt I'd had really good fun for an hour.
That's good. You know, we were talking about Hacks. I went to see the actress. I'm going to say actress. I can't get with this actor.
No.
The actress who played the young scriptwriter.
Oh,
yes.
yes.
A stand-up comic. And I went to see her in Soho. She was terrific.
Wow.
She ripped that audience to bits. So she had it, which I like, boom, on she came. And she was seriously impressive. Yeah, it was a long time ago, actually. Time ago. Yeah.
Yeah, she's a class act, that girl. She'll go a long way, I think.
And the lady who who played the sort of the older comedian.
Oh, Jean.
Yes, it is.
The name that's coming is Jean Marsh. Of course, it's not Jean Marsh. We know.
Not Jean Marsh. That was upstairs, downstairs.
Is it Jean Smart?
Could be. She was bloody fantastic.
I think it's Jean Smart, but I could be wrong. Graham Pack.
If you've never seen Hacks,
Hacks is fabulous.
Just.
Yeah. Anyway, High Potential on Disney Plus. Go.
Is it hypertensional or hyper?
High Potential.
Oh, High Potential. Right. Sorry.
High Potential. Yeah.
Excellent.
Definitely worth watching. Okay.
Right.
And when you've watched that, leave Los Angeles and go straight to Finland, because there's a really good. I've done 7 episodes this week of a very good Channel 4. You know, they have a big crime noir series, mostly from European countries, the Nordic noir stuff that they do. This is called Freezing Embrace. And it's an 8-parter, and I've absolutely whistled through the first 7 episodes.
Ooh.
So when I get on the train at Euston, that's going to be the first thing I press play on, because I'm so desperate to find out what happens at the end of the series.
No, Chantal, I don't want to interrupt, but I want you to be like everybody else I ever get on a bus or a train with. Don't bother with earphones. Just turn the volume way up so
Really
everyone in the carriage can enjoy the show as well. I swear to God, I get out of the bus
But you
or the
normally
train.
travel alone, Russ.
I am so furious every time. Like, shut up.
Do you not wear earpods on when you're traveling on the tube?
Me, always.
Always.
Always, I have to. I can't. Well, you know, I don't like people. So I wear Bose noise cancelling, the full thing, noise cancelling.
Yes.
Plug. It's not wireless, unfortunately, because they're crazy money. I've had these for years and years and years, and I keep replacing the pads. They're fantastic. I'm in my own world. It's absolutely wonderful. I love it.
It's the only thing that makes long haul flying bearable.
Yeah, otherwise you got to listen to everybody else's boring conversation and screaming kids. So yeah,
noise
cancelling, they're the best.
I once invested in very expensive Bose headphones for my old iPad, which of course had a normal jack plug on it. New iPads don't have jack plugs. Everything is Bluetooth now. So try and work out whether the thing with the cable, I can find something that joins them up. Anyway, don't worry about it. That's
there are a problem. I know that's not why you're here, but I think there are gadgets that you can put it.
Oh, maybe.
Might link it.
I don't. I'll have to look before.
What the hell? Look at this. You don't see this on a show every day. I had a hug.
Oh, that's
what the heck?
Now I'm very jealous.
What the heck?
That's amazing.
Wow. Blimey, O'Reilly.
Yeah.
I'm still excited. I had lunch at Christmas with Pat Sharp. Look at the state of my life. Yes, Grandpack has got a brain like a planet, although he pretends to be silly, but he's really, in real life, completely different how you'd imagine. He's absolutely charming. I think you can get a Bluetooth connector. That's, I think, what you're going to need.
Thank you for that. Oh, wonderful. Well, that's solved my problem for my flight.
What you need. You can look for it. Anyway, there we go.
Anyway,
okay.
We're
in Finland. We're in Finland. It's Finland noir.
Finland noir, yes, a Finnish noir. It's called Freezing Embrace, which is, I presume, just a bad translation of whatever it's called in Finnish, because Freezing Embrace means nothing. It just sounds terrible. So bad marks for whoever was the person who translated that, because it's
Google Translate. Somebody was lazy.
Not a sticky title. It's much better than that. It's one particular area of, one police precinct. Lots of young men start turning up in the canals dead, or in the rivers dead. Nobody quite knows why. There seem to be pockets of young men who are disappearing, but there is also a young detective who's just joined, who seems to somehow be linked to all of these different murders. And he's joined this police precinct. His father is a copper there. And then there is the leading detective, and then backstories for all of them. It's very character driven. So you really get taken in by all the different stories of all the different police detectives. But the main overall crime story is extremely good. You come away feeling freezing because
those Scandi noir films, they really, and those series, once you get immersed in them, they're very all-encompassing, aren't they? Really,
really good.
And the characters are. You realise that we're so used to sort of British or American stuff, and so we reference that. And when you see people from other European countries or Scandinavian countries, their makeup is very different. Their personalities are very different. I love that. It gives it a completely different complexion.
I think they're often better with dialogue as well, actually, that the dialogue seems to be more authentic. and the interplay between the actors often feels more genuine. I'm not quite sure why
I forget that they're acting. I often forget. I think I'm watching some sort of documentary. You realize, no, they're acting here. It's not with Americans and British stuff. You know, they're acting. I don't want to be rude, but you know.
But one of the things that's different for us, Russ, is because we are British. So when we watch British stuff, we recognize the actors, and that immediately takes you out of the land of make-believe. Yeah. Because I'm just about to talk about Martin Clunes in his new series.
Ah, yes.
It's Martin Clunes.
You go, we're behaving badly. There he is.
But when you're
and then you sit there going, he's got old. Then you look in the mirror and go, Jesus Christ, so have I. And that's how it works. That's how life is. Isn't it?
But when you're watching a Scandi drama or a French drama, inevitably we don't know those actors.
You haven't a clue who they are. So is it in Finnish with subtitles?
It's in Finnish with subtitles and very good subtitles. Normally I get grumpy about subtitles. But
why?
This is done by
why, Mrs. BAFTA, do you get grumpy about subtitles?
Because often the English has been poorly done. And that makes me cross, because I just think, actually, go and sense check this with somebody whose first language is English, not second language.
I would, you know, I was watching, you're so right. I was watching something and I thought, oh God, you haven't got the gist of this. You're not English, and you're banging. You're putting all your hopes on Google Translate or something. And I thought that would be a great job. Give me the script, and I could see which jars. Most of it's good, but sometimes something jars. And you think, no, you don't understand what you've just written.
Yeah, you were saying about the Bob Hope joke where he made a reference to, you know, Lay's crisps or something, whatever it was, which didn't mean anything to anybody in the British audience. And then he got the right terminology and the gag worked. And that's in a way is similar to subtitles. It has to feel authentic to the British ear, to the English ear, because otherwise it just jars terribly. And then you're suddenly jolted from your land of make-believe.
Isn't that true? The land of make-believe. Can I ask you, before you do the next thing, did you review for us? My memory is shot to hell these days for a variety of reasons, but did you review Missing You? Did you talk about it?
We talked about it, I think, and I didn't review it because one of our listeners mentioned it. And I think I said I'd watched the first couple and I hadn't been quite convinced by it. So we talked about it briefly, but I don't think I gave it a full review from memory.
It was 5 episodes. I'm not going to do any spoilers. I won't, because that's just rude and childish.
Okay.
So I sat, everyone said, oh, you got to watch Missing You.
Remind me what the story was.
Oh, God. What is the story? There's a police woman.
Yes.
Fiance, the day after they get engaged, just disappears off the face of the earth, right? And it's like, what the hell's happening here? And she doesn't see him. And then suddenly 11 years later, he rocks up.
That's it.
That one. And then people are disappearing. I
didn't finish it. And I think that when the last time it was mentioned, I think I said I never got to the end.
And Lenny Henry's in it, which of course puts me off.
That's the one. Yeah,
that's it. And I've got to say, I got to the 5th episode where they've got to tie all these incredibly loose ends up.
Yeah.
And I'm not doing any spoiler. I promise I won't. And I thought, this is bollocks. I'm sorry. I watched this. I go, are you serious?
Good.
Are you serious with me? And I thought, I've just invested 5. Yeah, Kimmy, it wasn't a twist. Kimmy, it just made you think, oh, well, and then I woke up and it was that's how rubbish I thought the writing was at the end. I just thought,
that's not
ludicrous. I thought that kept you coming along, thinking, where are we going? And it's just like, oh, is that the time? Blimey, better wrap this one up then. Because I'm meeting Chantal for lunch. There we go, the end. Boom, send it in.
No.
Yeah, I really, honestly, I did. That's just me. Other people thought it was fantastic.
Okay. Well, yeah.
That's a bit cross. Cross, actually.
That's just lazy writing, actually.
Well,
or possibly, too many people.
If you're a police officer,
yes,
and your dad has got murdered,
yes,
certain things behoove you to do. I'm just saying that. I'm saying no more.
Right, I'm not going to bother watching the last three
No,
episodes.
don't bother. I'll tell you
I've
when I
got
see you. And you'll go, oh, thank God. Oh, Kimmy's with me. Kimmy's with me on that. I agreed. I watched it because everyone else did. Well, my daughter said, "You got to watch this, Danny. It's good." And she's pretty hot on these things. And
yeah. No, I wasn't convinced by the first 2 eps. So anyway, there we are. Let's not talk any more about it.
Let's not bother.
Let's
not bother.
Yeah. Have you watched the first 2 episodes of the Martin Clunes series? Because those are the only 2 out there at the moment.
No, I haven't seen
it. ITV is teasing us with one of ITV's greatest actors, because I think we always think of him now as being very much part of the ITV furniture. And he's growing old gracefully. I think his acting gets better. I think there's a sort of maturity to the parts that he now takes on. And this time he's playing a Welshman. I don't think I've heard him with a Welsh accent before. He plays a Welsh farmer. And actually, he's doing it rather well. It's a thriller, for want of a better word. It's a 6-parter called Out There, which, again, it's one of those titles. It's like, are you going to remember that title? No, you're not.
Absolutely not.
More interesting and original as a title. Because, I know, looking through my BAFTA voting lists at the moment, I'm going out there now. I would not, in a year's time, when this comes up for voting, I would not be able to look at that title and go, oh, that's the Martin.
Oh, that was so-and-so, yeah.
No. Anyway, get the title, move on. The story actually feels as though it's got a lot of authentic research that's gone into it. It's about farmers. It basically starts about farmers in Wales. As you probably know, I think half of all farms that have been sold in the last 5 years have gone to either gone to investors or to lifestyle farmers, as it were.
What does that mean? I don't know what that means.
Completely different.
Sorry, what does that mean? What is it?
Well,
I genuinely have no idea. I've never heard that before.
Buying farms for other reasons than farming. So it could be for glamping, or it could be for, they want to set up car boot sales, or so basically falling into the hands of people who want the land for investment, or they want to make money out of the land in a different way.
But they don't want it as a working farm. Okay, got it.
So the underlying story here is that Martin Clunes is a Welsh farmer who wants to carry on farming for generations and generations. The next door farm is a farmer who's under real financial difficulty, and there's a massive tragedy right in the first episode that involves the farmer next door. And then suddenly there's somebody who's moved into a farm down the road who seems to be they're turning it into a lot of storage areas. So it's being, the land has been passed over and put into storage setup. But they're always flying drones over Martin Clunes's farm. So there's obviously something funny going on. And then the lad who plays his son is a really good actor. He plays a 15-year-old. He's actually 20. He's the son of Andy Serkis and Lorraine Ashton, who are 2 of my favourite actors in Britain.
Who is his mum?
His mum is Lorraine Ashbourne, and his dad is Andy Serkis.
Love him. Andy Serkis is tremendous.
And he's called Louis Ashbourne Serkis. So he is what he says on the tin, basically.
Really smart circus.
Yeah. But he's a very good actor. I've watched his work for the last 5 or 6 years, and I think he's a very special young actor. Anyway, he plays the son who is supposed to be a 15-year-old at school who, by sheer manipulation, gets pulled into the local drug culture. So we're on his side. We're on the side of his dad. Martin Clunes is taking no shit from anybody. And it suddenly turns into a bit of he's a Liam Neeson character with a 12-bore shotgun.
I like that.
Okay, this is going down a completely different path. This is not Martin Clunes as we've seen him before. But I've watched the first 2 episodes. I will definitely carry on watching the next. It's a 6-part series. ITV, and it's called Out There, and it's beautifully filmed. The script is really quite tight, and I'm liking the story so far. So based on 2 episodes, it's worth trying.
Yeah, this is all about county lines, isn't it? Was what they call this county line drug. Yeah. Stop it, Graham. I saw one bit. I happened to be, I don't know where I think the TV was on in the background when I was working, and I saw the bit. where there's a confrontation. I thought, yeah, Martin Clunes really got this. He's nailed this role.
Yeah.
Nailed it.
Yeah, and his Welsh accent is.
Oh, it was terrific.
Yeah.
I couldn't do that, but I'm not an actor. But it was terrific. It is amazing when people can completely go into that part and you forget everything else they've ever done, which is just. When I see De Niro, it's always De Niro. I mean, I know now he's gone raving mad, obviously, but it was always like, well, it's Robert De Niro.
Yeah,
what you're getting there. It's okay if you like De Niro, marvelous. If you don't, like Jason Statham, what you're going to get. It's like McDonald's. Going to McDonald's, you don't expect, a haunch of venison. You know what you're going to get. Jason Statham, know what you're going to get.
Well, Jason Statham is very clever in that he absolutely knows what his USP is. He knows that people love him for particular roles, and he just gives it to you. And he's not trying to say anything other than this is what I'm really good at. So I'm just going to stay in my swim lane. Nobody wants to see him at Stratford. They don't.
Same as Vinnie Jones, and people can get very snooty and snotty about it, but you see him. Yeah, he's damn good at what he does. He's very, very frightening. He's imposing. He's got all that stuff. And you're right. Stay in your own lane and do the damn best job and be that person. Really.
Yeah, and I think he's one of the top 10 earning actors in the world. Jason Statham.
Oh, I'm not surprised.
It would be like Jackie Chan going to Stratford, and you go, "Well, for goodness' sake, don't be ridiculous."
Oh, I'd pay to see that. I would so pay to see that.
It would be quite funny, actually.
It would be
swinging through the rafters. Anyway, maybe we should.
It would be Jackie Chan and Jet Li, two gentlemen of Verona. It'd be fantastic.
Now there's an idea.
There you see another money-making scheme.
I know.
Chantal
Well, with
Rickards
AI
Limited.
Yeah, with AI coming up. Somebody will make that in a
nanosecond. How frightening is that? Anything else? Just very quick.
You'll remember last year we talked about a film called Bank of Dave, which was based.
Oh yes, I loved that with Rory Kinnear. Is it Rory Kinnear? Or am I going mad?
Who's turning into his dad? He's a brilliant actor.
Fabulous,
absolutely wonderful.
Fabulous actor.
Yeah. And plays Dave Fishwick, who was a local guy who sold minibuses in Burnley, set up a people's bank, if you like. And then in the second film, which is the one that's just come out, he tackles payday loan sharks and falls into actually a good and funny story about payday loans. But it's all based on truth. I mean, loosely based on truth. There are characters that aren't really real, but his love of Def Leppard definitely is real. But
I'd forgotten that when he meets them at the. Oh God, I love that scene.
It's just joyful. It's again,
lovely film.
2 hours of joy and positivity, and it's called The Bank of Dave 2, so you can't really not remember it.
But it's smart because it goes back exactly to what you were saying. You remember that.
Yeah.
Chantal, thank you so much. Really appreciate it. We will see you, God willing, a safe journey in Hurricane, whatever the hell it is. God knows what they called it this time. All right. Take care. Safe trip. Bye-bye. Bye. And that is it for another week. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for all your fabulous interactive comments. It's marvelous. I always say, they used to say, I think somebody else would say, you are the star of the show. It's true, because without you, we're nothing. We're talking to ourselves. You're fantastic. Your comments are so funny and witty, and it's just a lovely family atmosphere. You ever met my family? Have a great weekend. I'll be back with Neil Longy Long on Monday, maybe with some guests. I don't know. Haven't worked it out yet. Until then, as I always say, stay out of trouble. Bye-bye. Don't become a political prisoner, for God's sake. Careful what you post.